Camera shot.
Welcome to Tiger Talks Wrestling. This is your host, Tony. I am joined today by probably the biggest star in backyard wrestling history, Mr. Better Than You, KBW's own KAGE.
Well, thanks for having me. And I guess the only way I know how to start this is by saying hello, world. And I'm happy to be here. And I want to thank you for having me on. And I want to wish you a happy early birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Happy to have you on here. As you actually were the one that came out and asked me to be on the show, so it's not something I get too much of, but I appreciated it.
Well, you've been putting on some really good shows, and I really enjoy the one with Big Time Mike. And you've been a giant supporter of backyard wrestling. So I was like, man, if I was going to do another one soon, because I'm constantly getting questions about backyard wrestling. So let's talk some.
Well, shall we? I'm going to start with the couple of questions that we had in the chat room before we went live. Riley Bates asked if you will be uploading a KBW episode anytime in the near future.
Okay, so this is a open-ended question. So let me put it like this. I have right now on my laptop 8 videos that we recorded this past summer.
Okay.
8 videos, but typical fashion.
Oh, we lost him there for a second. Get him back here. Really part of it doesn't look like there's maybe one viewer.
But the final match, the conclusion, the giant title match that we had yet to thing that's holding that back. Part of that being the reason that Big Time Mike would be a part of that, and I don't know, since he's retired, if he would like to come back and do it. But I currently live in Oklahoma. The rest of the crew is in Alabama, so it's hard to get to do this. So when I come home this summer, I tried. If I can get this last match up, then we'll have a full, complete 10-episode season, including a Royal Rumble 3.
Now, unfortunately, you did cut out, so we only caught the last part of that pretty much.
Well, the basis of it was that I have eight episodes recorded. I'm missing Big Time Mike, and we will record the last video to complete the 10-episode season that I would like to put up. But I have 8 ready right now.
All right. So Riley Bates also had 2 other questions. Wanted to know, first off, if you will be at Best in the Yard 4 next year.
See, that's a question that I don't know. Like at the end of the day, it's VTW show, and I wish them absolute best. I was elated to be a part of Best in the Yard 3. I was pissed off that I wasn't a part of Best in the Yard 2, and so if I could, I think I tried to do my best to prove that I could be an asset to their show at Best in the Yard 3. So hopefully you may see me in the future at Best in the Yard 4. Like I have a ton of indie bookings lined up, so who knows if the dates match up. But I always try to leave a few dates open.
Gotcha.
For the Best in the Yard.
We'll go a little bit more in depth about Best in the Yard here a little bit later.
Awesome.
His last question was, would you wrestle in South Dakota?
Absolutely. I'll wrestle anywhere they pay me to come. And if it's a great backyard wrestling show, I might drive up there for free. It just depends. I love wrestling. I traveled to Nebraska for the first time earlier this year, also to Mexico for the first time earlier this year. So I'll go anywhere they'll have me. I love wrestling, man.
And say anybody that follows you on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any of them can see everywhere that you've been this year. It's been quite a year for you, I would say.
Absolutely, I agree. It's been awesome, and like I said, just a lot of people don't understand that we have to be called to come there. So if there's a prominent company in South Dakota that wants to bring me in, yes. If there's a prominent company in Michigan that wants to bring me in, I would love to come. It just all it takes is just someone to call me, and I'm headed there.
Sounds great. All right, so now I'm going to get into my questions as we'll let people trickle in here and see if they get other questions in there. Let's start with way back when you first started. What got you first involved in backyard wrestling?
Well, I've been a wrestling fan since the day I was born. My dad's a huge wrestling fan, so I've always watched wrestling since the day as long as I can remember.
Right.
So, of course, with 2 younger brothers, we used.
And we lost him again here for a second. See if we get him back here again. For the couple people watching, if you got any questions, comment, make sure you put them in the comments section. Cage will probably come back in mid-sentence here.
Back in the day, they used to do backyard wrestling and put it up on YouTube, and I was like, hey, let's do that too. So that was my goal, and that's what inspired me to start it when I was around 14 years old. Hope I didn't cut out there.
You did cut out, but I think we caught the gist of it.
I hope it's not my internet. I got pretty good right now. I'm hoping I can adjust it for a minute. Let's see what we can get.
All right.
See if I don't cut out as bad.
While you're doing that, who were some of your early influences wrestling-wise? Some people that you looked up to, I guess you could say.
Well, when I was very little, I was born in '95, so right before the Attitude Era really kicked off. So my first favorite wrestler, I'd say, was Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course. But by the time I remember actually sitting down and watching it every week, Stone Cold had retired, and this is going to seem like a cliche answer, but Shawn Michaels, I just fell in love with Shawn Michaels, as well as Rey Mysterio and a few others. And then later in life, I'd have to say CM Punk was a big influence on me, if you couldn't tell, in all the KBW videos. But as far as favorite wrestlers go, those were the guys. I was also a big Dolph Ziggler fan. Not so much a big Dolph Ziggler fan now, but
right.
If you want to look at early days, and then TNA would be AJ Styles. So Michaels, Styles, Mysterio, those would probably be some of my biggest influences.
Pretty good group to have for influences. Matt Maverick is in the chat room, says Cage in the building. King Dominator says, what's up, Cage? How you doing?
What's up, man?
And Yankee says, Cage is Cage. Oh, God.
Yankees the man. I love it.
All right. King Dominator wants to know, do you respect the Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose?
Well, of course. There's a few things that I am not so high on with Dean Ambrose. Sometimes I don't care for his moveset, but as far as putting on a good show, the dude's great at it. I'm a giant Dean Ambrose fan.
I'd agree with that. I will ask that you guys try to keep the questions aimed more towards Cage and backyard wrestling for this, though. A couple little questions here and there for wrestling,
yes,
fine, and we'll get into your indie career later. But
oh yeah, I come here to talk backyard wrestling anyway, so let's get to it.
Yes, shall we? Let's talk a little bit more in depth of KBW itself. When you guys first started, the first season was, let's put it that way. And then
trash.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what the first season was. It was garbage.
It would be.
It wasn't the greatest either.
It was a little bit better than season 1, though, and that was also the debut of a guy who you are very close with, AK-47, as well. So, how close would you say that you and AK-47 are, and when exactly did the friendship begin from that? Oh, did we lose him here again for a second? We may have. All right, but we'll keep it to go, and he'll come back probably mid-sentence again. And we'll get into more stuff about what he's wearing, too, tonight.
No.
I think we got you back.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I did hear. Yeah, I do. We got me back. I did hear the question, and to say that me and AK, I'm gonna say it now that me and him, AK, are first cousins. So we've known each other for as long as I can remember. It's just he, around when we were 14, he started walking over to my house, and he didn't live too far, as if you could probably tell if you watched House Brawl.
Yeah.
So me and him, he would come over, and he just loved wrestling. I had 2 younger brothers who also did KBW as well, but no one AK did. So having AK there, especially there in season 2, because that's all we had for the longest time, was just me and AK. It was so fun, and we just developed a friendship. And then when I got my car, he would ride to school with me. We'd ride to wrestling events. We'd do everything together. That guy's like my brother.
And what would you have to say about the rivalry that you two had in KBW?
Well, I'm biased, but I would say it's the best rivalry KBW had, just because it almost carried the company for so long. If I could compare it to something now, I guess it would be like Okada Tanahashi in New Japan. I don't know how familiar people would be with that, but for so long, it's just a rivalry that, when you thought of a company so committed. It's like, I wish I had a group like VTW where just everybody wants to wrestle, but have that later in KBW. We did have some more committed guys, which I'm sure we'll get into that too. But at the beginning, AK4 died, and then eventually we had some other guys like Bama Kid and a few others show up to help out the roster.
Okay. Why don't you tell me what a couple of your favorite matches were that you had with AK-47 in that series of matches that we've seen?
Well, if we're talking about season 2, I would say we had so many matches throughout all the seasons, but I'll say that we had a Falls Count Anywhere match that I really liked. I'm trying to think of a big highlight of we did. So there's a few that we did that I just absolutely love. We have Falls Count Anywhere match that went really well. We had a Last Man Standing where I flipped off the roof.
Yes.
We had a Falls Count Anywhere where I flipped off the roof. The Last Man Standing.
Cut out again. We'll get him back here in mid-sentence again, probably in a moment. And then finish his spot once
The giant
do.
one stands out. And then finally, the last one we had, which was the leather strap match. I do love the one with Bulldozer. I think the one with Bulldozer, the triple threat, is my favorite. But the leather strap match, we took it to a whole nother level later in season 4. That was crazy.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. We did lose you there for a moment, but
man, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, who knows? No problem though. We'll keep going through it. So, I know for me, one of the matches I enjoyed most between you and AK was the Iron Man match that you two actually had.
Iron Man match, man. It was a very long matchup. It was the longest we ever did, and it was like that was the same night as the Money in the Bank 2, the same pay-per-view if you will, and step things up. And I think that's what really launched KBW into the stardom it did. Like, we already had the Royal Rumble also helped, but Money in the Bank 2, Royal Rumble, and that pay-per-view, man, it just took KBW to a whole nother level. So I'm very proud of that match, and it was a crazy match. We had involved the ladders from the match earlier. We did some crazy stuff, and then the giant twist at the end with CJ coming out and turning on AK-47, which beginning to the Renegades, which is probably KBW's best storyline.
I would have to agree with that. We've seen a lot of different changes during the feud between you and AK-47. First started with you being the heel, him being the face, if we will, and then obviously flip-flopped at points as well, including with the Renegades being involved when AK took over for CJ as the leader pretty much of the Renegades. What was that like for you to kind of switch positions in that rivalry at times?
Well, I believe a lot of people thought from the beginning, from season 1, I want to say carried the company just because I was in every video, I was in every match.
True.
And so when eventually we got AK-47, it helped spice things up. AK is such a likable guy. He's so good at being like not just in real life. He's just the nicest, coolest, chillest guy. He loves to dance, loves to have a good time. So just because I was very confident in my talking ability to be the bad guy. But I also like to be a show-off, and I like to do flips and do crazier maneuvers. And that started to get over in the comments. People started loving KAGE just because I could do all these crazy things. I tried to even ramp up my talking. If you watch me versus the Beast, I cut a promo in the beginning of that match trying to really get over as a bad guy, as a heel. But eventually, I think it was the smartest thing we ever done was turning AK heel, because we didn't know how good he didn't even know how good he was going to be in that role. And it helped me because I love being a baby.
Okay. So one thing I do want to bring up that happened also in you guys' feud was the rap battle.
If you can call it a rap battle, yes.
Yeah. What was that experience like for you? And free fame again there for a second. I see you guys got some questions in there. We'll get to some of them. All right, we got you back.
That experience was really fun. We both fan of rap music, and we actually remixed the song at our school. In our when I was in 11th grade, he was in 10th grade. We did a talent show, and we came in second place for a rap remix we did of a song. So
Nice.
we thought, what would it be if we brought that to KBW? And it wasn't like an actual crazy rap battle where we have a ton of bars, but it was just verse for verse. Let's see what we can come up with. And also the KBW roster really made that video because they were behind the camera oohing to everything we did. Right. There's a line that Paul Wall in the background, he says, "Damn." And it's so funny when you watch it. It's one of the funniest videos we've ever done.
Yeah, I can see that. So one of the last things I want to mention about AK-47, what do you think of what he's doing now with his YouTube channel where he'll upload a KBW video every 1,000 subscribers, I believe it is, that he gets?
Yes, I think he's even done with that just because we got so much backlash, just even with the t-shirt idea as well, which I'll get into a little bit later. But I think it's great. Somebody's got to keep it alive. Eventually, the original KBW arena was at my house, and then right after Royal Rumble 2 and the triple threat submission match between me, D-Man, and AK, we had to move arenas because my parents got divorced, so we had to move to another house. And so eventually it was moved to the Bulldozer's house, and we did it there. And then eventually where it's at now is AK-47's house. And any way we can keep the brand alive, I love it. Like I said, if I was living in Alabama right now, KBW would still be going. I hate that I'm up here and I can't do it. I also love my life now, so it's hard to hate that, but
right.
It's one of those things I wish I could be two places at once.
Yeah, unfortunately we can't do that though. So let's move in. You've mentioned him a few times. I got to mention the Bulldozer and Execution. What was it like?
Man, continue. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like for you to be pretty much the leader of that faction, I guess you'd say?
It's so funny, man, because even since I was in 4th grade, me and one of my good friends back in 4th grade, he never did KBW with us, but we would go around I would go to his house and he'd always have the ton of championship belts, and we would act like we loved DX, so we wanted to do this symbol, but we didn't know what to do it with. And then we eventually come up with a faction Execution, and then like as soon as I created KBW, I was like, well, I got to bring Execution to. First started with me and the Bulldozer and Nick Frazier. Unfortunately, Nick Frazier, not a wrestling fan at all. He stopped doing KBW, so it was just me and Bulldozer for a good while, and eventually we added Jacob Storm. But that faction, man, it was so fun to do the turn, Bulldozer turning on AK.
We lost him again there for a moment. Get him back here. All right. Yes, I'd have to agree with you, Yankee. D-Man is very talented. All right, we lost you again there. You're back, though.
Jeez, I'm so sorry. I do not know what's going on.
That's all right. So for the Bulldozer, what would you say would be, in your opinion, his lasting legacy, pretty much, when it comes to KBW?
Well, to this day, no other man has flipped a trampoline on as many men as the Bulldozer has. Sure. And he really came into his role as a good talker. Like, to be as big as that guy was, the way he moved, the way he dedicated himself, the way he became unique and stood out. Like, he's one of the best big men in history, I would say, at his size, because nobody was pushing 350 like that guy.
Sure. Let's see. We did kind of see Paul Wall come and go off and on throughout the whole time as KBW. What do you think would be something that people could remember from him, or should remember of him?
Oh man, the dude was just so strong. He was so good. Like he was an on and off wrestling fan. He was a casual wrestling fan. So eventually, when KBW started really taking off again, he came back, and I had a fun match with him. And then I have to say, both of those men had their best match I think they ever had was with their last man standing match. to qualify for. I don't know if it was it was a #1 contenders match, and that was just really such a good match. Bulldozer tries to flip the trampoline. Paul Wall catches it and he spears him and it falls. Oh my god! One of the greatest moments for me. I just love that match, man. Love it.
Awesome. Can talk about pretty much everybody on the roster, but I'll just get to a couple more people here. D-Man, we've seen a lot in KBW as a tag team for quite a while. Towards the end, though, we did see him go singles from Maxilla. What do you think about everything that happened with him throughout the period of KBW?
Well, first I want to ask you, what is your opinion on D-Man? And then I'll counteract that. I'll feed off of that.
Okay. I'll say this. I thought him and Maxilla were a decent tag team when they were together, but then once he turned heel on him, I thought that was the best thing he could do, to be honest with you. He improved by leaps and bounds.
He won the Native American title.
Yes.
I do too. His match with the Bama Kid, the ladder match they had was really great. I think he came into his own as well. He was also great in the Renegade, not Renegade Revolution, All or Nothing, where we did the 4-on-4. He was great in that. D-Man, so athletic, man. He was the first guy to do all the crazy Rey Mysterio moves, and I loved it just because we worked so well together and he could do stuff like that.
Okay. Then the last guy I got to bring up that we got to talk about that you feuded with at the end of KBW, of course, is the guy that you mentioned earlier, Big Time Mike. So what would you say or have to say about Big Time Mike and his dedication to KBW? As we've frozen again, but we'll get into that. Keep your comments and questions going otherwise, guys.
Big Time Mike.
We got you back. Did you hear the question?
Big Time Mike. That guy, man, he's just so talented, like so crazy. I've said this a million times, but such a nice, quiet guy. You would not think that he had. Michael Miles is not the same as Big Time Mike. Michael Miles is a kind, chill, and then you give him a camera, you put a camera in his face, and that guy turns it on. So he's so passionate, and I wish we had him earlier on in KBW. I just, God, he would be even bigger. Like, I'm so glad he got to continue his dream to do backyard wrestling up at VTW and all the places he's traveled.
Yeah.
I loved wrestling him. We had some killer matches. The one where we come back into the season and we busted open and he wins the title. Loved that match. Loved wrestling him. He was crazy. He's literally crazy like me. I'll do anything. I'll destroy myself, and so will he for a match. And that's the kind of wrestling match I love to have.
Right. And I will say, you can't mention Big Time Mike in KBW without mentioning the last match that we've seen, that Fatal 4-Way match with you and him and AK and, of course, Pac-Man.
What did you think about the surprise? Were you surprised with Pac-Man coming out?
I was very surprised by Pac-Man coming out, to be honest with you, for that one. I had remembered that he had the Money in the Bank briefcase, but I wasn't expecting to see him on that show.
No, nobody was. What if I told you that we recorded a triple threat match without Pac-Man, and that then he said he was available one day, and we re-recorded the match and added Pac-Man into it?
Really?
That's how we wanted something crazy and unique. And so many people are giant Pac-Man fans. Just from the first, like, I think what really a notch is when we had our match and he won the Undisputed title from me. It was known as the Undisputed title then. We later renamed it the Hardcore title. That video and that match, it really took him to another level. He picked up the upset, and so he grew a giant fan base as well as teaming with Bambi Kid for a long time. I thought it was good to add him to the match. I think that match ended KBW just like it should have. Big Time Mike, he was the future. He was the star. He deserved to walk out of that match with the championship. But we also cannot write the end of KBW without finishing off like we did with me and AK in the ring.
Yeah, I'd have to say that was the correct thing to do, to write off KBW at that point in time. Because people would have been upset, I feel, if you guys wouldn't have put a little closure to that feud at that point.
Oh, we had to. And we originally thought of maybe just doing me and AK, but after you seeing the dedication from Big Time Mike, there was no other guy I wanted in the match with us besides him. And I think the whole match turned out really well. I think it was one of the top matches we've ever done in KBW.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think it was I would say probably one of the best, if not, it's got to be right up there in the top 5 in my opinion of KBW matches. So I want to, let's see, unfreezes here, get into the comments and questions here a little bit before I move into the next topic.
I want to say thank you for saying it was one of the better matches. And yeah, if you want to get into the comments, we can. Like I said, I have the phone pulled up, so as soon as it freezes, I just go to the phone and listen to what you were saying. I really want to apologize. I do not know what's going on with the internet, but let's get to it.
We'll work through it. It's no big deal. See. So King Dominator was just wondering if you'd seen BYW Mania. It's where he works for. I'm assuming that.
No, I have not. But if he wants to send me some clips, my Twitter is available. I'll check out anything and give honest critique if they want honest critique.
Right. Yankee said that's the KBW internet connection for you.
Typical Yankee. I love it.
All right. King Dominator did say, can you check out Backyard Warfare, which you've pretty much just answered that for him. So their actual next big event that's on the 23rd or 24th of this month, I guess. Also, it'd be an honor.
I'll give it a watch.
Yep. It says also it'd be an honor if you could check out KEW Backyard Wrestling, ASW Backyard Wrestling. Like you said, if he just sends you a link or whatever, I'm sure once you have a chance, you get to check it out for him. And Matt Maverick asks,
no problem.
What was your favorite KBW Rumble?
Oh man, I loved both. I don't know, man. That's a tie for me, just because I entered last on both of them. And I think I did the whole angle that maybe I would retire, maybe I wouldn't, maybe I was done. Mm-hmm. And I think it was perfect for me to come back. And I love just the shock value of Maxilla winning. But I think, I don't know. I did more stuff in the first one, but I think the action was better in the second one. So I think I got to go second one.
Yeah, and Maverick said his was the second Rumble. So, let's see what else we got. Oh, Yankee did mention D-Man is very talented.
Thank you, Yankee. As we got to see, because D-Man made a surprise appearance. I know we'll get into this later, but it was really cool to see
that. King Dominator would also ask if you would ever be willing to debut in Grimm's Toy Show.
Dude, I would love to. A couple of my friends, Jordan Oliver, as well as Ellis Taylor, they're both doing some things at Grimm's Toy Show, and you'd be surprised how many people channel to go to Grimm's Toy Show and how many people comment on his channel. Does he watch KBW? Is he familiar with KBW?
He also asked if you would want to face Grimm if you did make it to GTS as a dream match. And I'm sure you caught that one too, but we'll get into it just here in a second when we get him back.
I would absolutely love to go to the Grimm's Toy Show. You'd be surprised how many people comment on our channel and say, please go do that. And how many people comment on his channel, go do that. Like I said, Ellis and Jordan Oliver are both up there right now. So if I ever got a chance to go up to New York, I would love to be a part of it.
So Yankee asked a question that I think is a very good question. Where did you get your iconic Cage line? Hello World, of course.
Oh, well, it's from the theme song. Like, I have to really give credit to AK-47 for that, because AK-47 is a giant hip-hop fan. He downloads every album he can find. He listens to a ton of music. Diggy Simmons dropped his first album years and years ago. We listened to it, and we thought, man, I was using a fun song that I really like called It's My Time, but I was like, man, this song sounds like a great theme music. I had to change it to it. So I started using Hello World, and it fits so well as an opening line. I have to say it every time. So if you listen to the theme music, you know where it comes from.
That's true. I would say, for me anyways, I'm sure other people too, if you hear that song, first person you think of is Cage and KBW. So
you'd be surprised how many people say that if they go to the actual video, the music video that he put up online on Diggy Simmons' channel, they like, I'm here because of KBW. It's so funny. It's cool.
Nice. And I'm sure you could probably figure out who says this. Nice shirt, brother.
Oh yeah, I'll get into why I'm wearing this shirt a little bit later.
I'm sure we will.
It was definitely no accident.
Is there any other? I'll get into the crossover event that you had in KBW here in a minute, but is there any other point matches or feuds that you want to talk about from KBW?
Maybe just the Pac-Man ones. I really enjoyed him, man. He's very underrated there. And then, like I said, it was my company, so I loved all the feuds, man. I loved how we introduced Hazard and got to introduce new characters. I was very, very proud of the product we put out towards the end. But absolutely, the triple threat match with me, Bulldozer, and AK. If no one's ever watched that, I would love for them to go check that out.
Oh yeah,
and
that one, because that triple threat match was awesome between the three of you. It's another one of the top.
Any of the Money in the Banks and the Royal Rumbles. Money in the Bank 3 is probably one of the greatest matches we've ever had. So if you guys would go check that out, I'd love it. But as far as that, I'm here to answer any questions you want to have.
All right. So I would say you guys were probably the first company or one of the first companies to do a crossover event, as you and AK a couple others went over to BEW Kentucky against Bad Reed. What was that experience like for you?
The Bad Reed.
I know, bring it up.
I absolutely. Right now, me and him are really good friends. We've been on the Indies together now. I love to see what he's doing. But as far as
we'll get Cage back here in just a moment as he comes out again on us. All right. And we'll get a little more into that crossover event here as well. Oh, I see a picture.
I'm so sorry again, but I would say, like I said, I love the guy now. We've traveled on the Indies together. I love Myron Reed to death, but that was not a fun crossover event. A whole season in 2 days. We wrestled too much. The accommodations was not very well, but it was really cool to do that. I think that really messed up a lot of our plans for KBW, just because I used that time where I could have been filming more KBW right before I moved to Oklahoma from college to go up there and do that. And then a thumb drive broke, and I lost a lot of very valuable footage, except for the last match. So trying to move to college, edit footage, do all that at the same time. Looking back on it, it was fun to do, and I'm glad I did it. I just wish I could have focused more on KBW and just done the couple matches with Myron and not try to film a whole season.
Yeah, that probably would have been for the better. What we did see from the crossover shows were pretty good episodes that were put up on the KBW and KBW page, rather. Let's move on from that.
Thank you for that. Like, we did have a cool match.
The next time, besides KBW, the next time we'd see you in a crossover event would actually be a surprise appearance from you at last year's WrestleCon event. What was that trip like for you?
That trip was amazing. I want to make us surprise appearances. I would love to like just be announced, kind of like back Best in the Yard 4. But every show needs a little bit of shock value. So I finally got to meet everybody for the first time. Got to meet Cameron Jackson, Jason Walker, all the guys from the God, what a was, and of course the freaking hotel antics. I know you talked about with Cameron Jackson, Big Time Mike before, but moonsaulting Bibles, dropping elbows, denting floors. It was a very fun night, I should say. And man, that's where 16 was born. So God, great memories. Probably my most fun crossover I've ever been to, besides maybe Best in the Yards 4. But I've only done 3 crossovers, so compared to the first one.
So I got to ask you, how was the match with Corey Graves at WrestleCon? How did you feel that it went for you? Let's look at his response here in just a moment. Okay, you're back.
Man, so sorry.
Okay, so if you didn't catch the question, I just asked, how was the experience of working with Corey Graves in that 2 out of 3 falls match at WrestleCon?
Oh man, so fun. I think the story told in the match was amazing. I got to bust out a 630 for the first time. And like I felt like it was my return to backyard wrestling, so I had to go all out, and I think we did some crazy things. The only thing I am upset about is because I took a backdrop on a ladder that didn't a ladder, but it cut right before then. Drew Hood was recording, so I'm not going to put that on Drew Hood, but we did have some issues. So
Gotcha.
I took a backdrop on the ladder for no reason, clearly. Besides that, I thought that match was so fun to work. It was so fun to meet HBTW. And I think the story was told well. Even though I lost, I think the match went very well.
So I want to get your opinion on one other match from that show since you're there live. What was it like to watch Big Time Mike and Rick Rios' match that day?
Insane. It was insane. The freaking, oh my God, the crazy stuff they did, plus adding TJ's, who's crazy as well, into it. But the F5 on tape, hands taped behind his back onto that wood is one of the most gruesome images I've ever seen in backyard wrestling.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
And they couldn't even finish the match. Legitimately, that match was supposed to have a finish, and they couldn't even finish the match because they beat each other so crazy.
All right. It's insane. King Dominator mentions that KAGE, you are his favorite KBW wrestler of all time.
Thank you so much.
So not long after WrestleCon, let's jump into it. First of all, let's go back a little bit to Best in the Yard 1. What was your feelings of finding out that there was going to be a Best in the Yard and that you didn't get invited to the original Best in the Yard?
Oh, that was on the whim thing. I didn't know what it really was. Like VTW had just kind of jumped into the scene. The only reason I heard of VTW is because they did a couple crossovers with CCW, and I was very good friends with Drew Hood. So of course I saw what they were doing, but I thought it was very cool. But I wasn't too familiar with all the VTW names. So I knew about HBTW or APW, whatever you want to call them. I knew a little bit about it was very cool to see, but I wasn't upset to not be about it because I didn't really know what was going on. But when it come around the second time, I was wanting to do that. But first one, I thought it was awesome. I thought I was so happy for Big Time Mike to get to travel and do something crazy like that because we got to go do something like that with Myron. So I thought it was great for them, man. I really enjoyed it.
All right. So let's go into Best in the Yard 2. It happened right after WrestleCon. It was recorded not long after. So I have to imagine it really got under your skin, I guess is the way you can put it, to not be invited to that show. He's frozen yet again. I see a couple questions in here. We'll get to those here in just a second.
No, I'm good.
We're good. We got you.
I was saying that I thought it was great for Big O and do that, and I was very happy for him. But yeah, like I said, I didn't really know what it was, so I couldn't really be upset about not being invited. I was happy that Big Time got to do it.
Yeah, I was talking about Best in the Yard 2 being right after WrestleCon. That's what I was just asking about.
So WrestleCon 2. Best in the Yard 2 being right after WrestleCon, I thought you were going to be a part of it. For some reason, and Cyrus were uninvited or no longer going to be a part of it. Open spots. Kevin Shaw and Ecstatic contacted us on it for some reason. Some things went on behind the scenes. Maybe some votes were made. Maybe some moves were made, and unfortunately, we were not invited. It was pitched to us. We both said yes, and then the offer was revoked. And Navon, and came down, and they had awesome matches. And I love Navon to death, so I can't be mad. But I was upset because I really thought, after the awesome time we had at WrestleCon, that I would be a part Best in the R2, and I was very bitter about that for a good year. I was very upset at a few of my friends from Backyard Wrestling, and it sucked because I really wanted to be a part of it. But this year.
All right. Did you get the chance to watch Best in the R2 though at some point?
Yes, well, I won't say I watched the whole card because, like I said, I was very bitter. But I did watch the matches I wanted to watch, and I watched the matches. I know I watched Jordan Oliver and Ecstatic. I watched the main event. I watched Big Time Mike and Dirty DeChico. I watched a few others that I was very interested in, but like I said, those were some of the main matches. And I'm always going to support Big Time Mike no matter what he does. So I had to check that out.
What was your opinions of the route that we've seen Big Time Mike take, or the turn kind of that we've seen of Big Time Mike leading into that match with Dirty DeChico and during the match with Dirty DeChico at Best in the
R2? Big Time is gonna do Big Time, right? So I made some questionable decisions in my character work when it comes to turning heel or babyface, and of course he's needed to take that route too. Them forming the FTC like they did, which I kind of felt really betrayed by all three of those guys because we weren't invited to Best in the R3. So I'm Best in the R2. So I was still, but at the end of the day, Big Time Mike is like a brother to me. So of course I was going to support. And he did what he had to do. He asked me what I thought of the match, and I gave him my personal opinion of it. I thought it was.
Got out there again here real quick. I'll get to those questions here just after Cage finishes his thought on that match between Big Time Mike and Dirty DeChico from Best in the R2. And while we wait, I will remind everybody that next Friday, and December 22nd, we will be having an all-star show here.
We're back again.
Yep, we got you back again. All right.
Yeah, but like I was saying, at the end of the day, I did feel uncomfortable with the finish of the match, but I'm going to support Big Time no matter what. And I think it was necessary for him to take Big Time Mike to the next level.
All right. We got a couple more questions from the viewers. WFF Wrestling says, any tips on becoming a big BYW company?
Want to consider yourself big. Like my goal was to get as many views as possible. Some people's goals are just to put on the best matches. Some people's goals are just to put on the best editing. Some people's goals was to become the most hardcore. Mine was to become the best all-around company as well as get a ton of views. So if you want a ton of views, great. The quality's got to be really good. And you got to do things and title them that way. I think having a Royal Rumble, having a Money in the Bank match, help get eyes to us, and then help expand. Take some of those lessons. And if you want to message me on Twitter, I might be able to give you more insight on how I did it.
All right. Yankee wants to know, what's your opinion on the Murder Club, and how do you feel knowing that it took BYW by storm?
I'm a big Murder Club fan. I'm a big Yankee fan. So, it's everything I wish Execution maybe could have been. So the guys are happy with. I loved Best in Yard 3 and how he had the guys come out. It was so cool. Almost like a Bullet Club in a way, right? Like it's just so cool. You want to be a part of it, right? It was great, and I love how the main event happened. So I'm a very big fan of Murder Club.
Okay. Oh, I kind of skipped over one question. Got back to Elite Backyard Wrestling says, what made you decide to not bring the Cage name to the Indies and decide to go with Fuego del Sol?
As my trainer pointed out, he wanted us to be a tag team, me and AK-47. AK was very. He had also another gimmick, and so eventually it just we didn't do as much tag team stuff as we wanted, and my character Fuego got over doing it. Now I will say that in very soon, I won't say when.
Oh, cut out there again real quick. Very soon we might see something different, maybe. Riley, for that, I would just say when you get a chance, go back to the beginning of the video and watch it because I did ask those questions at the beginning. As we wait here. Oh, there we go. Maybe. He's gone. Let's see if we get him back here in just a moment. All right, guys. As I was mentioning earlier, there will be an All Stars version of Tiger Talks Wrestling this upcoming next week, Friday, on the 22nd, around 7:30, somewhere in between there. I haven't decided what time exactly. We're gonna have guys coming in and going throughout the night, and we'll be discussing everything that's happened and some big things that have happened in backyard wrestling this year. Anyway, we got your back.
Okay, let's do this. I've been doing this on my laptop. Let's do this on my phone and see if we get a little bit better connection. Let me do this really quickly. It won't take me 2 seconds.
All right, sounds good. Okay.
But I will answer the question.
All right. What was the question? Oh.
I as I was saying, in the very near future, I do plan on becoming KAGE again. I won't say when, but maybe in a year and a half's time. Fuego will go back to the wayside, and the man you guys know as KAGE will return. So just be on the lookout because I'm very excited about it, and it will happen soon enough. But I'm not gonna lay all my cards on the table before I'm ready.
Don't blame me for that. You got to keep some things close to the vest. Okay.
Absolutely. I think everybody wants to see KAGE anyway, so I have to bring him out eventually.
All right. So Yankee wanted to know. We'll talk more about this event later, or soon, I should say. What did you think about your boy Yankee power bombing Zach's wife on a table after slapping her ass?
I thought that was one of the greatest things ever. God, that was so great. Like to take a rivalry to the next level, man. People want to talk about main events and stuff and blah 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 about the show. That match, that feud was built up for a whole freaking year. It was topped off by an amazing pre-show spectacle. She took a freaking powerbomb through the table. God, awesome. I loved it, and I told Yankee that to his face, man. That was incredible, man. If this is me, the show of me putting over Yankee, I'll do it because that guy's awesome.
Gotcha. WFF Wrestling says KAGE versus Yankee would be amazing. Oh, I think we froze again. I would have to agree. I think that would be a good match. Very good match. Hey, we got you again. All right. Yeah,
okay, I think I'm good now. I switched off and got on my phone. Let's see if it works a little bit better.
Okay. So I was going to ask my own question, but I'll get to Matt Maverick's question first here real quick. Are there any new guys in backyard wrestling that you love to watch?
Absolutely. I absolutely love to watch Dirty the Chico. Well, I don't know if these count as new, but I would say new to me. I absolutely love watching Zach Daniels. I absolutely love watching Chase Bridges. I absolutely love watching Dustin Reagan. Man, I'm a giant Dustin Reagan fan. And I promise you, in the near future, you will see a Dustin Reagan versus Cage match somewhere.
Okay.
But
I definitely look forward to that.
there's a I'm a big VTW guy. I also like watching um VEW. So I'm like I said, anything that Navon does. The King of the Yard tournament. There was just so many guys that I love watching. I'm oh my god, if I mess this name up, I'm gonna be very upset at myself. But I want to say his name is Johnny Reed, right?
Yes, Johnny Reed,
I'm a big
correct.
fan of his. Um, a ton of guys. I'm big fans. Big fans. I would absolutely just I would continue to watch them for a long time. Like I said, I love still keeping up with backyard wrestling. So anytime I can get a chance to watch it, I do.
Okay, well, since you mentioned it, let's bring up the topic of Cage the Yard. Uh, what was your opinion of what went on with AK-47 throughout that entire tournament?
Man, I'm trying to get close to the phone because I can barely hear you. I don't know if there's a thing going on or what, but I can barely hear. If you can cut it up your volume maybe just a tad, that would be great. But and repeat the question for me.
1 second, I'll double check things here. All right, let's see if you can get me better. Hopefully, what was your opinions of the King of the Yard tournament with AK-47 part of?
Ah man, it was so cool to see AK-47 in that tournament. I was so happy. I was almost a part of the King Yard tournament, but unfortunately, due to an independent date, I could not make it. But man, AK has always been dying for a singles match in a crossover event, and he had a ton of them, and really good matches. I love some of the things he did in all those matches. The Cameron Jackson match, the Zach Daniels match. It was very hard for them to film everything, and even the storyline with Navon, where just him getting pinned early and then turning around is incredible, man. Incredible stuff. Very happy with how everything turned out. Um, Big fans of everything, man. It was fun. It was really cool to see.
Now, if everything lined up correctly, and there's rumors that there could be a King of the Yard 2 next year, would you want to be a part of that if you could have the chance to?
Absolutely, I would absolutely love to be a part of that. I think that what Navon did trying to make a tournament like that was awesome and insane, really. How in the world he managed to get all those people up there and do that? It was so hard for me to just get people together to do KBW. So yes, I was very happy.
Nope. He lost his volume there for a second after
Really
losing.
cool thing. Really cool. I would love to be a part of the next one if possible.
All right. Yeah, I would have to say I was pretty impressed by AK's performance throughout that entire tournament. So, especially with the attacks from Navon throughout the entire thing. So, got a couple more questions from the viewers here. Riley Bate is in the chat room again. He left earlier and missed what we talked about at the beginning, but he went back and watched it. Says him and his friends are doing backyard wrestling on YouTube and have a channel called BWE. If you want, you can come if you like.
That was pretty good.
So watch it. Good to see Aaron Jones in the chat room here. And Ecstatic. Okay, I got to get to Ecstatic's question for you.
Headphones in, so that way maybe I can hear a little bit better.
Hopefully.
So try to give me a question now. Let's see what I can do.
All right. You can hear me better?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I think we got it now. I think we finally got this. Let's try it.
All right. So the question from Ecstatic is, Cage, the Luchador, the Bama Kid, facing the Bad Sons one-on-one. Your thoughts?
I think anytime Bama Kid wants to come out of retirement, he does. And as long as the challenge is up for it, I think it was really cool to see Bama Kid at Best in the Yard 3 and to see the match he had. I think he did very well for his first time in the ring, in an actual ring. So I would love to see that again.
So you'd be fine teaming up with him against Bad Sons at some point then?
Well, teaming up with Bama Kid, yeah, it could work. I can see it happening. Me and him tried to. The one time I did get to wrestle Bama Kid, he beat me. So I don't know. Maybe we could team up, but I still got heat with that guy because
Sure.
he dodged me my whole career except for one match, and he caught me because he got lucky.
Yeah. Elite Backyard Wrestling wants to know what is the most frustrating thing about being considered one of the best in the yard?
Um, Honestly, it's not even considered being one of the best because I think there's a ton of just guys, if not on par with me, even better with me. It's the actual viewers that mess things up. I think I bring so many KBW loyalists to shows that it kind of ticks off other wrestlers just because sometimes they don't care about other matches or sometimes they make mean remarks, and I hate that. I absolutely hate it because it makes me look bad. It makes my company look bad. I have to. If you're fans of just KBW and not anything else, first of all, go watch other stuff, and second of all, at least respect that they've given us a platform and given me a platform to wrestle again. So
True.
at being one of the best, thank you guys so much for considering me one of the best because I worked my butt off to try to prove that I am. But it also sucks in the sense that KBW got so large that sometimes we don't have we have some of the best viewers in the world, but that also comes with some bad sometimes.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that because I know from what I've heard from other guys that a lot of the people that were saying that you and Cam should have been the main event of Best in the Yard 3 this year were KBW elite fans, pretty much, I guess you could say.
Yes, and I want to set the record straight right now about the whole main event thing. Uh, as a wrestler, we all want to be the main event. We all want to put on main event quality matches, especially at Best in the Yard, right? Like that's the biggest show of shows. That's the
True.
place you want to put on your best matches. But
Yes.
but at the end of the day, that is a VTW show. You want a
True.
VTW guy main eventing that show. You want a storyline that has been going on for a whole year's time as your main event. I am a giant WWE fan, and if I don't get so mad at part-time wrestlers coming back to main event WrestleMania, so how hypocritical would I be to say that deserve the main event? Why? Just because I did a bunch of stuff years and years ago? No, no matter where I'm at, I'm going to put on a show. Put me at the beginning, put me at the end, put me in the middle. I promise you, my match is going to be a match to remember. But on a VTW show, a VTW guy deserved to main event that show, and they put on a hell of a main event. All four final matches were hell of a matches. Even the undercard was so entertaining. That was one of the greatest shows I've ever been a part of, and I'm sure we'll get to that a little bit more. But I wanted to set the record straight about the main event.
All right. Yeah, that's one of the next topics, but I want to get into comments here again. Aaron Jones says, "How about Aaron versus the Bulldozer?"
um, I think we can make it happen. I tried to get Bulldozer to come up to the Best in the Yard 3, but unfortunately he cannot make it. So D-Man jumped in the car and headed up there with us. Uh, but I know he would love to have that match. I think it would be entertaining as hell. So let's make it work. Let's make it happen.
All right. I must have missed a question there. Let me get back to it here. Oh yeah, I was asking. Riley Bates had asked if you would be interested in watching his channel of BWE.
Guys,
And
if
if you'd be interested in going there.
anybody watching want me to check out their stuff, I'm very very open to watching stuff. Just shoot me a message, tweet me, and I'll see what I can do.
And trust me, will get back to you. I know firsthand. So
Sometimes I'll message you first.
true. Yankee says, "Goddamn Cage, that's why you my bro. You keep it 100. Much love."
Yeah, I actually someone I heard call me egotistical, and when the camera's on, I try to be my character and I try to be the most egotistical guy in the room. But when the cameras are off, I consider myself one of the nicest. I try to be. I was so thankful to be a part of the crossovers I got to come to, man, and I just want to be a part of more. So if it seems like I come across egotistical, first of all, it probably seemed like that in my promos leading up to Best in the Yard 3 because I was bitter as hell about Best in the Yard 2. But when it comes to off camera, man, I feel like I consider myself one of the nicest guys, and I hope that my colleagues and the other wrestlers and other friends that I have will agree with that.
Right. So, before I get into Best in the Yard 3, I do want to bring up something that you mentioned earlier on in the show. There, for a brief period, you would put out that if you sold X amount of shirts, KBW shirts, that we would see another season of KBW. Things things didn't go all that great for that, though.
If anything, so here's the deal, man. Like, to be real with you, when KBW took off, we started getting paid from YouTube ads, right?
Right?
But the second I moved to Oklahoma, I had to start paying for college. I also had
Right.
to start paying for my own car. So most of that money was going into my car note every month and for college because I was trying to get a better education. And Oklahoma to Alabama is a 12-hour drive. I made that drive probably 100 times now. That is a very, very, very um, hard on my wallet. I'll put it like that. It's very hard on my
I
wallet.
believe that. Yep.
So I was literally in some financial trouble. I wanted to get some videos recorded. I finally got a Pro Wrestling Tees account, and I knew that my Fuego shirts weren't going to sell well. But I thought, man, how great would it be to give the KBW fans the opportunity to buy merch? Now, where I messed up was setting a limit. Maybe I should have just said, "Hey guys, I'd love to record some more videos, and I need gas money to get there." And maybe that would have
Right.
helped. But it become a running joke, and I get it. But people didn't know my situation at the time, and now that's why I'm laying it out there. Uh, we sold a few shirts, and I was very happy with the number we sold. We did not sell the number I was aiming for, but I still got home, and I still managed to put a season together. Like I said, I haven't put it out yet, but
Right.
sometimes money is a little bit harder, and real life gets in the way. And people, we try to keep our real life secret or separate as wrestlers. And
Yeah.
but I'm very open and honest guy, so I like to put it out there. It wasn't the greatest idea. It did receive some negative reviews, like it should have, because it wasn't the smartest idea. But it was a reason behind all of it, and I'm trying to just be honest with the people now.
It's what it should be. Uh, okay. I'd mention that, but I'd rather he not check that right now, but I'm sure he will later. King Dominator just saying he sent you a tweet on Twitter, so
I'll get to them
once he
soon.
gets
I'll
that.
check it out.
Yep. Riley Bates says also, if you did go to Best in the Yard 4, who would you want to face if you could choose?
Well, I absolutely love all these people want me to be at Best in the Yard 4, but I'm kind of itching to jump back in a backyard wrestling ring a little bit sooner than Best in the Yard 4. So I'll just name some opponents that I want to wrestle here soon. Number one on that list is Dustin Reagan. I really want to have a match just because he's so good in ring. There's a few others that I've listed in the past that I really would love to face. I'd love to go and be a part of VTW's roster for a week and just literally get to wrestle everybody. But let's just say I'm gonna try my hardest to get back into a backyard wrestling ring before Best in the R4. If I'm invited, there's a few people I'd like to wrestle. I also have some unfinished business with a certain somebody, and
Yes.
I'll leave it at that.
All right. So you might not get KBW right away, but hey, at least we'll get to see Cage back in action. So
Absolutely. Besides me, AK and Big Time, there's not much of a KBW left. A lot of these guys were never really big wrestling fans to begin with, so I'd have
yeah,
to drag people to wrestle in me in KBW anyways.
yeah. And it's got to be a lot better not to have to try and drag people and just go somewhere and compete with
People that want to be there,
not all that
yes, it's
pressure on
amazing.
pretty much. Yeah. All right. Another question: how do you feel about one of the WFF superstars in talks with Tyler Aiken about being part of the Biddy 4 Battle Royal?
I think VTW is the most open place to come work and come be a part of big things. And I love how open they are about bringing new guys down and having such an open community. So anybody getting a chance to go down there and work for them, I think is awesome.
Riley Bates mentions Man of War versus the Master of the DDT.
Man, I absolutely love the DDT maneuver. So I always pop when I hear Master of the DDT because it's I just love that name. I love that maneuver. And I promise you, you will see the Master of the DDT soon Not only in a backyard wrestling ring, but a wrestling ring as well.
Okay. So I had some other fan questions sent in on Twitter. I want to get to a few of them here. Did you ever think KBW would be as big as what it is?
Not no, but hell no. I thought, man, it would just be fun to put up wrestling videos with my friends, man. That's all I ever was, just to have fun, you know?
Right.
And luckily, I think I helped produce and help put on some incredible, entertaining, insane matches. And for some reason, I think I'm very good at marketing KBW, and it took off the way it did, and I'm very proud of it. And it's one of my greatest accomplishments. If I had the YouTube plaque with 100,000 subscribers, I'd show you, but that's currently at AK's house. But man, I'm just a wrestling fan like everybody else, living my dream, man. That's all I can say.
Right. Elite Backyard Wrestling says, who gave you the best advice when it comes to indie wrestling?
I've had a few people give me some really good advice. Just recently, and this is gonna sound braggadocious, but it's one of the greatest moments of my life, so I gotta say it. I was at a show in Wichita, Kansas. It was a giant IWR event, and I walked through the curtain. I had a little, I wouldn't say it was a botch, but it was a little mess up. It was, I would say it was a little sloppy, put it like that, at the beginning of my match. But the match turned out really well. It was a little sloppy. So as I walked through the curtain, DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, stops me. He
Nice.
also stops my two opponents. He says, guys, I want to talk to you guys about your match. DDP did a signing earlier that day before the show started. He was feeling a little sick, so he was about to leave. I thought he'd already left. So when I come through the curtain and he stops me, I thought, oh my God, DDP is about to rip into me. He's going to literally light me up and tell me I'm the worst wrestler ever, and I'm going to feel horrible about it. He looked at us and he said, guys, I'm going to be really honest with you. He says, I go to a lot of independent shows, and I was not expecting that. He said, that was freaking awesome. So first of all, I'm blushing like a schoolgirl because Diamond Dallas Page is critiquing my match and calling me awesome. But he just literally told me never stop. Like I'm my own biggest critic. I criticize myself too much, I want to say. I'm very self-conscious about my size and trying to put on weight. And so just to get advice from him telling me like, dude, just be patient. You're young, but you got it. That was incredible, man. Another guy who I'm real close with is from TNA. His name's Hernandez, Supermax. I don't know how many people are familiar with him, but he gave me some great advice and told me three things. He says, to be good in wrestling, you have to have good cardio, for one. He says you have to be unselfish with your opponent and give them everything as they give you. And three, you have to have a good support system. And I think the family that I have is an amazing support system. So some of the best advice I've ever got is to keep those three things always in line and straight, and then keep a good head on your shoulders. But I had a really good trainer. I'm really good friends with the Armstrong family and Road Dogs family, and so they always keep me in check and make sure I don't get a big head. So I'm very thankful for everything that I've got, all the advice I've gotten.
Right. You can't take nothing away when you get advice like that from a WWE Hall of Famer at that too. So
man, dude, it sounds very egotistical, but he gave me his phone number and he gave me his lifetime subscription to DDP Yoga. So like it's incredible, man. Like that. These are the moments I live. Like if I died tomorrow, I feel like I'd be happy with how my indie career has gone so far because I've done so many things. I'm only 22 years old. Man, I'm just so thankful, so grateful.
Okay. So Yankee asked if you have any opinions on Proving Ground.
I love it. I love the concept of, hey, let's get guys from all different promotions together when we can, and let's put on some freaking awesome matches. I think so. It gives younger guys a shot to show up. It gives new guys an opportunity to work with some more established guys in the community. I love it. I think Proving Ground is great.
All right. And then another question was, how would you feel about facing superstars like D-Lock? I'll start with first.
D-Lock, I've met him at the first time at Best in the Yard 3, and that guy is so good, and he's so nice. He's such a nice guy, but he's so good in the ring, man. That is the sleeper match. If I had a sleeper match from the whole show, is how good that damn triple threat match was, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big fan and good friends with Jackson Hendricks, and I thought Man, what a way to really burst on the scene. How how good that match was just really blew me away. Mike the Dr. Goodman got to do commentary, and of course you hear his reaction the whole time. He loved it, and so I was very happy about that match. D-Lock's awesome. I would love to wrestle him. He's on the short list as well as Chase Bridges. If I got to go to VTW and wrestle, I would love to wrestle those guys.
So that kind of brings up another question I had from a viewer on Twitter. What was it like for Mike the Dr. Goodman to do commentary with Arnold?
What an awesome opportunity that was, man. So cool. Uh, I think Mike the Dr. Goodman prides himself on trying to put together good commentary. And if you watch any of the early seasons of KBW, you know
Mm-hmm.
why he prides himself on it because man, we were running off the rails until he got behind the mic. Him and Justin Williamson.
True.
So I'm very proud that how good he is and how well he is perceived. And when you put him together with Arnold, man, what a commentary team that was. I enjoy that so much.
Uh, Imagine you did, because it sounded like you guys had a blast. The other superstar they mentioned, wondering how you would feel about facing is went by the Sinner, goes by the most successful man in wrestling now, Zach Daniels.
Man, I was so surprised at in his change of attitude, his change of character, but it works. I consider myself a giant AJ Styles fan, and I think if you are aware of Zach Daniels, you know he's a giant AJ Styles fan too. Did not realize he was gonna be as tall as he was, but when I met him at WrestleCon a while back, I thought, man, if there's a guy who's got potential to blow up on the indie scene as well, he's one of those guys, and I would absolutely love. I think I can tear it up. I try to pride myself on trying to be able to tear it up with anybody I get in the ring with. But when you got a guy that's so easy to work with like Zach Daniels,
Mm-hmm.
I just salivate in the mouth thinking about how good of a match me and him could have. Man, it'd be crazy.
I agree. I'm a big Zach Daniels fan myself, so I don't hide that. Uh, Riley Bates says, just popped in my head. Me and my friends love KBW. Growing up in, yeah, let me read this before I read it out loud. We kind of answered this earlier. His main point was, how did you come up with your theme song? Which,
yes, AK-47. He's the man behind the music, man. Love that guy.
Elite Backyard Wrestling says, have you ever wanted to wrestle in Louisiana? Maybe Wildcat Sports.
See, I've had a lot of interactions with Luke Hawks is the man who owns that promotion. Years ago he wrestled on Wrestling Society X, and he's the owner of Wildcat Sports. And actually I have a few friends down there, and I've wrestled with a bunch of his trainees. And if the opportunity presents itself, I would absolutely love to. I don't know how many people were aware of Danger Zone Wrestling, the backyard wrestling company that used to be out of Louisiana. Simon Mack. They weren't a part of the community per se, but they did get a large following. They even started their own independent company called Pro Wrestling 225 in Louisiana. So I would absolutely love to wrestle for them as well. Like I said, if they pay me, I'll go anywhere, man. I just need the gas money to get there, man. I just need the gas money to get there. I pride myself on being able to sell merchandise really well. So as long as I can sell merch at the show, the gas money, just get me there. I'll make my money back.
Yep. Matt Maverick says, will you sign my 450-degree shirt?
Absolutely. Anybody who ever brings any kind of KBW merch to any or Fuego merch to anything, I would love to sign it. Absolutely, man. And I know that I appreciate that you have all absolutely purchased some of our shirts, and I try to be very respectful. If people go to my website, they can check out shirts there, and I can personally sign things for them as well. But one of the coolest things I want to bring this up is that one of the first times I ever got to wrestle outside of Alabama and Florida, where I started my pro wrestling career, is when I moved to Oklahoma. And two kids come up to me, and it was the first time I ever really was recognized from KBW. And so for the whole night, even when I was in the ring, they were chanting KAGE instead of Fuego. And I think it's so cool when fans come up to me. I feel like we got like a secret like handshake or something. Like they know something that everybody. It's a connection that I really love. So if you're a big KBW fan and you come to see Fuego del Sol, please mention that to me. I would absolutely love to see it, man. I love to hear about it.
Hey, I pretty much think I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask it since they ask anyways in the chat. Have you ever thought of signing with WWE or TNA?
Absolutely. I was very fortunate enough to do a TNA one night only pay-per-view that will air in January. So I can add that to the resume. But it was a combined event with my home promotion here in Oklahoma, IWR. And so I have gotten in contact with some of their officials. So if the opportunity presents itself, my goal in wrestling is to wrestle full time and be able to pay my bills with it. That's all I want, is just to be able to wrestle absolutely all the time and maybe be on TV somewhere. So no matter if it's Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, TNA, New Japan, WWE, if the opportunity presents itself, you will see Cage on the big stage, Fuego on the big stage, whoever you want to call me.
Right. All right. Let me go into my other set of questions here real quick again. Who was the first major superstar you competed against in the Indies?
So let's say major superstar. I guess major would be Chavo Guerrero Jr. What an honor that was. Very nervous my first time wrestling him, but Bullet Bob Armstrong is another. He is the father of Road Dogg Jesse James. He's a Hall of Famer, but he was never on like big time television. He was a local star like down here in the South. So it was an honor to work with him first. And Hernandez, like I said, he's a big mentor to me. He's a mentor to me, and I got to work with him. And then Ricochet as well. So those were like some of the first four guys I really got to work with. But Chavo is like the biggest WWE name, the first one I got to work. And man, that was crazy. In front of 2,000 people in Oklahoma, it blew my mind, man. You can watch that on our YouTube channel as well. I'm not as proud of that match as I would like to be. I wish it could have been better. But man, what an awesome match that was. Opportunity it was.
That leads into the next question. What match have you been in that has given you goosebumps?
Man, I've been in a few, man. The first time, my first match is triple threat match that's on YouTube right now against Dustin Payne and AK-47.
Yes.
That match, my first match ever, I got goosebumps. But man, I've been on the independent scene now 3 years. I've seen a lot of people's first matches. And to say that was mine, AK's and Dustin Payne's first match, it's not that bad. So I'm very proud of that match, and I got goosebumps during that match. Anytime I'm wrestling a big name, man, I get real big goosebumps. I was in a crazy fatal four-way with a good friend of mine named Sammy Guevara, as well as AR Fox, known as Dante Fox on Lucha Underground. I got goosebumps during that. But I feel like I'm a very comfortable guy. It's only when the stakes are raised and the crowd is big and the lights are bright that, I get those crazy goosebumps. Butterflies in my stomach before every match, but the goosebumps are the special moments.
Gotcha. All right. Ecstatic asks, what are your thoughts on VTW as a whole?
Okay. I've given them critiques in the past of how I wish they would grow the brand and how I think they could grow the brand, as in getting more viewers. But as a product, as in-ring wrestling, as storylines, VTW is 10 times the company that KBW was. I say this constantly to AK. I used to say it like this. I used to put it to AK like this. If I had 10 more of me, KBW would be its own pro company. But I don't have 10 more of me. VTW has 20 more of me. And when I say me, not only just athletic ability, but just desire and just drive to want to wrestle. And they have that. KBW prided itself on having a big roster, but not all of our roster wanted to be there half the time. If you saw all the off-camera madness of me having to beg and plead and, hey, guys, stop playing basketball. Hey, guys, come, let's do this. Hey, it's very hard. I felt like a director, a mean, mad director trying to put stuff together to where it's just so fun to see. Now, as far as in-ring action goes, man, in the past year and a half, 2 years, they have stepped their game up immensely, bringing down guys and combining with like DRW, and now Cam is there, and now like Jesus, man, just so many awesome crossover events. I love it. I think they have a WWE setup with the show, with the Vindications, and then the pay-per-views. But I do feel like they could possibly grow their brand if they wanted to in other ways, and I feel like I helped grow KBW's brand in small, similar ways. I would love for them to help them with that. And if I lived in North Carolina, I would be a full-time roster member, and I try to help any way I can. But as far as just a product, their wrestling is incredible. Their storylines are awesome, and I enjoy watching every freaking week. They're my favorite independent company, maybe besides them and VEW. I say independent, backyard company, them and VEW.
Yep. All right. See more going in there. Navon McDonald actually sent me a question for you. He asked for you to talk about the chaotic dark 8-man tag team match that took place inside the garage on Best in the Yard 3 weekend, captained by you one team and Navon for the other.
Man, I am absolutely insane. I think most people tell you that. I will take a bump anywhere and anytime. I will moonsault on books that should not be moonsaulted on. I will do crazy things. And me and Navon McDonald, I was just everybody. Jason Walker was involved, a few others. We had the actual wrestling match that go under the canvas of the ring laid out in the garage. And we were having an impromptu, fun, crazy match. I will say I did get power driven a couple times by Navon McDonald. So it was a crazy, awesome, funny. That's one of the reasons I love the crossovers. And we actually did get a few Snapchats and other videos of that. And maybe if one day that can make air, man, that's hilarious. But God, thank God, Dirty the Chico came in and he was on my team because man, Navon had a stack crew on the other side.
Right? And Dirty is the difference maker. Well, no offense to Yankee, but
Yes, oh yeah, he's definitely up there on no offense to AK either because he'll get mad if someone says different. But yeah, but definitely like he can he's a game changer. We'll put it like that.
Yep. All right, we'll get into that question. Navon also asked.
I'm so glad my phone is working much better than my laptop did.
Yes, it seems good. And it also asked me, which you've pretty much already said, that you've watched BEW. Who do you think is a big time player in their company, BEW New York?
Well, like I said, as much as I'm getting to watch, of course, I absolutely love Navon McDonald. God, he's a star. He talks like a star. He walks like a star. He dresses like a star. The kid is a star. And as upset as I was that he took one of our spots in Best in the Yard 2, God, he deserved it because, man, I met that guy and it was like we known each other our whole life. It was like that moment in Step Brothers, like, you want to be best friends? Yep. And same way with Yankee as well, man. But Navon, I love Navon. Like I said, Johnny Reed is another guy. I think, man, he's just got a ton of potential. And then I would be remiss to say that I don't absolutely love Jordan Oliver to death. He's killed it on the independent scene, and I know he's killed it in backyard wrestling as well. So I gotta talk about Jordan Oliver, man. It's great.
Yes, ecstatic. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. All right. I have just a couple other questions before we get into build up to Best in the Yard and then Best in the Yard itself. Favorite backyard wrestling theme song and then pro theme song besides your own?
Say that one more time.
A favorite backyard wrestling theme song and then also a favorite pro theme song besides your own.
Backyard wrestling theme song. I love all the remixes of the FTC. The one where they're all three together, with the iron and that's a great one. I love Zach Daniels. That's epic in itself. Man, there's so many good theme songs like Dirty to Chico, man. When that hits, it feels intense immediately, you know, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like the variety of KBW's theme song wasn't the best with the constant hip hop, but we did throw in some other stuff every once in a while. But man, and then pro theme songs. I'm a giant Billy Gunn ass man. I love that freaking song. Gotcha. It's hilarious. I just love it. Shawn Michaels theme, DX's theme, I love to death. Of course, Glorious. How can you not sing along to Bobby Roode?
Right.
But I guess that kind of answers a bunch of them. And then any AJ Styles theme song throughout his whole career. I've loved all of those as well.
Do you have any least favorite match that you've been a part of, whether it be backyard wrestling or in the indies so far?
Man, let's not get into the indies because I got
Okay.
a crap ton of those. But in backyard wrestling, man, I won't say I have like all of the first season. It was just me being a 14-year-old kid, not exactly knowing what I was doing. Um, and then we had a 4-way tag team match when we recorded WrestleCon for what's the company that Drew started? God, why am I'm going mind blank right now? What's it called?
Yeah, I just drew a blank on it too. I know exactly what you're talking about. Help us out, guys.
Why?
Here.
But it was
Wait a minute.
me and
Yeah.
AK versus Drew. No, it was me and AK versus Cam and Everett versus TOP, the Theory of
Yep.
Perfection, with TJ and Rick, and then it was also Corey and Jason. And I wish that we could have done more in that match. I won't say it was a
Right.
bad match. I just wish we could have done more. And that's one of the ones I just felt like, man, it was a missed opportunity because if we really had time to plan some of that out and got deep into it, it was kind of thrown together on the fly before it got dark, so we just had to rush through it. But that's one of the matches I won't say I hated being in because I loved it. I just wish we could have done more with it. And then as well as just missed opportunities like the 4-way with me, Paul Wall, Bulldozer, and AK, and then other missed opportunities with Paul Wall, Big Time, me and AK. I wish we could have done those as well, but not any ones I really hate. Like I said, every experience is a learning experience.
Yeah. All right. One other question from viewers. From WrestleMania 33, if you have one, and why?
Say that one more time.
Your favorite WrestleMania from WrestleMania 1 to 33, and why that would be your favorite.
Well, this is going to sound cliche as well, but I actually got to attend WrestleMania 30 with Daniel Bryan. So as one, like, that was my first time going to WrestleMania. I was a giant Daniel Bryan fan, as was anybody watching wrestling at the time.
True.
I had just started training, so like, how motivating was that? That unfortunately, the worst moment of the night was Undertaker lost his streak that night. But
right.
Besides that, like, man, what a awesome WrestleMania it was. Then I'm a giant fan of WrestleMania 20 with Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, the hug out at the end. That was great.
Yes.
Unfortunately, what happened later. And then it just really became John Cena's show. Most WrestleManias leading all the way up to it. Like, I really enjoyed 31 with Rollins coming out at the end and winning the title. But 30 is number one for me, no doubt.
Gotcha. It was FBW All Stars was the name of Drew's show.
Yes, I'm so sorry to everybody who has ever been a part of it, all the fans, Drew Hood especially. I just drew a blank. I'm so sorry.
He hasn't posted in quite a while on there, that's why I couldn't fix it either. I've seen everything on there, but all right. So as you guys keep questions and comments coming in, we're going to move into the next topic here. We'd be remiss if we didn't, since it just happened this summer. Let's talk about the lead up to Best in the Yard 3.
I want to ask you, what did you think when he first showed up on the KBW channel?
When Cam first showed up on the KBW channel?
Yes, he posted. It was looked like there was gonna be a new KBW vid, and then you just see his highlights and a promo from him.
I thought it was amazing, to be honest with you. It's something that you don't see. So
yes, you're a big fan of both Cameron Jackson and KBW, so I figured you'd enjoy it. I thought it was what a weird turn of events, right? Like, I was very upset with Cameron Jackson, Drew Hood, and Big Time Mike over the whole Best in the R2 incident. So, to turn back around and be like, oh, maybe you get to come to Best in the R3 this year, but now you got to wrestle Cameron Jackson. Man, there's like 5 other guys I'd rather wrestle instead of Cameron Jackson. But then the build was awesome. Like, I feel like it was built. I still to this day, people don't know if me and Cam don't like each other or not, and I think that's the best storyline, if you don't know if it's real or not. And I feel like we got into some deep topics. And give me just a second. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite build-ups towards Best in the Yard this year. So But yeah, it looks like we'll have most of the guys that have been on Tiger Talks Wrestling back on here for that All Stars show I was mentioning earlier. That'll take place next Friday. So not sure we might have one other episode before then.
Back. So the build up was pretty crazy, man. So the the whole build, we got into some deep topics. He said some stuff about my family. I said some stuff about him and his company and his presence, and I said some stuff about everybody.
True.
So I feel like it was real, and I feel like that's why so many people enjoyed it, and I feel like it really helped get us to our match, man. Some real stuff. Him coming out in the KBW t-shirt and ripping it to shreds, and just so many like real moments of that feud. So I'm very proud of how everything turned out, except for maybe how it ended.
Yeah, of course. Which, why don't you go into that a little bit?
So I would like to talk about the match for a second, man.
Yes.
What a insane match, right? Like, you have Drew Hood come out at the beginning, and then I do a crazy dive on him, literally almost crush his eye socket. I hit him pretty hard. So and then him later returning when the ref goes down, which what a crazy ref bump too. Like I get clotheslined and accidentally like Pele the referee, which is crazy.
Yes.
Drew comes out. We do the whole deal with D-Man runs out and makes the save. And that leads to the table bump. That leads to the crazy reverse Rana off the top rope. And leads to the finish.
Right.
And a lot of people were upset with the finish. Like, I'll put it like this. I'll put it like Shawn Michaels put it. Shawn Michaels like, why would I come back to wrestle? He's like, who does it help? Does it help the person that beats me? Does it help the person that should I beat Cam? Here's the messed up part. Shawn Michaels is retired. Sure. But I still have an indie career. So how does it look for a pro wrestler to come back and lose to a backyard wrestler? How does it look for a backyard wrestler to beat a pro wrestler? It's a weird dynamic, but here's the end of the deal. People were so upset they thought it was over. Right. This story is not over. That's it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning, and you'll see exactly where it leads here in the near future.
All right. I know personally I'm happy to hear that, and I know a lot of other people I'm sure are as well. Is many people were hoping to see the sequel of that match at Best in the Yard 4, if not at another time. What were your thoughts overall of Best in the Yard 3 this year?
What an incredible show, man. I was so happy to be a part of it. How amazing it was. Every match delivered in some way. Every match was entertaining. I loved it all. I thought the pre-show with the Rumble and the crazy events that Yankee did that we talked about was insane. The triple threat match was the sleeper match of the night, and I thought it delivered on so many levels to make stars and make everything count. Was it 2 out of 3 falls or was it Iron Man with Jamal Payne?
Iron Man match.
It was Iron Man, and that was crazy because it was brutal. The Dirty DeChico Dustin Reagan match, they pull the boards off and do crazy stuff. You have the most entertaining match of the night, I want to say, if you just want to go by entertainment value, was Kevin Shaw's match, man.
Victor Van Pelt, yep.
Oh my God, so good, right? So funny. I was laughing my behind off the whole match. It was just so good, man. Like sometimes every match doesn't need to be amazing. Some matches just need to be entertaining, and that was amazing in itself of how entertaining that match was, right? I loved it so much. Show was probably the best crossover I've ever been to, and WrestleCon was amazing. So that's a giant compliment, and I feel like it's only going to get bigger. Drew Hood and Novin, freaking Tombstone on a guitar, like God, like that was insane. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about AK-47 finally getting a match at a crossover, and him in his tag team match against the Bad Sons. What an insane thing, right? Like it's really it's the whole thing was an amazing thing to be a part. And then I've already talked about how the main event match was incredible. There's so many things I just love about that show. Of course, my match. I gotta say that I know I'm missing a match right now. Which match? Oh, of course, I'm missing Big Time and Rick Rios, right?
Yes.
So Big Time and Rick Rios, what and like how brutal and insane. I feel like it definitely lived up to the first match. So
Hmm.
I'm very happy. I hate that his career is over, and I hope that Big Time comes back eventually. Um,
Right.
but if not, I respect his decision. Uh, and I thought, man, what a way to make my best in the yard debut on a show so stacked like that. Like I'm so happy I was able to help contribute and maybe bring a few viewers that maybe weren't familiar with some of those guys because they proved exactly why they needed to be watched by everybody.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So another question I had that I skipped over because it was to do with Best in the Art was if you could, would you name a top three matches that you thought happened at Best in the Art this year?
Man, I don't know if I could. Maybe just entertainment. I don't know, man. Like, God, I love Novin and Drew. If I was
Mhm.
not including my match, I would say Novin Drew, Big Time. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if I could pick a big three. God, Big Time Rick Rios, Yankee, Zach Daniels. Man, I don't know. I just felt like the way the card was put together, those matches deserved to be the last three, and they delivered like hey, like it was incredible. Um,
Yeah.
but like I said, I put over the whole card. I think that whole show was insane. I love Dirty to Chico and Dustin Reagan to death, so they squeeze in right there as well. And then entertainment value alone, Kevin Shaw, Victor Van Pelt was amazing. I can't. That's too hard to do. I can't really pick a top three. I can give you top five maybe.
Right.
That's
Right.
how good that show was. Like God, that's such a good show.
Agreed. It was awesome to watch. I'm sure it was awesome for you guys to watch live, even more so. But
Absolutely, man, and to be a part of it, man. I was just so
right.
happy to finally be a part of it.
Right. Any stories that we maybe haven't heard from that weekend?
Oh, any stories? Well, man, Navon helped you out with that one with the crazy match we had like then. Um, let me see. Uh, Meeting Avery Hoke for the first time. That was a story in itself.
Okay.
Such a nice man. He's so cool. But the day before, we when everyone was coming back and meeting each other, we all went out to eat at a mall and
Hmm.
just getting to know people, see people react. Meeting Yankee for the first time, like he's insane. So it was so cool to talk to him and just laugh and me and him. He does some indie wrestling too, so just to connect with him on that level. But man, I'm trying to think of like good stories I could tell. Anytime you get Drew, Cam, and uh, Big Time together, they do some crazy stuff. Whether it
Right.
be spiking in the middle of a convenience store, spiking on their head, or yelling, or doing all that. They do some crazy stuff constantly. I don't know if I have a really good story besides just being happy to be there and see how just friendly and nice this community has gotten and how it's become. I'm so proud to be a part of it, man.
All right. So you may not have been there, but I just want to ask if you were. Were you there the day after Best in the Yard 3, or did you leave by
So
then?
here's the deal. Unfortunately, I was not, and I was very upset that I was not. But I had family matters at home that I had to attend to. So
Yeah.
literally, after I filmed my match, I got my crew in the car and we had to jet. Um, and so I was not, but I heard there were some amazing events to happen, and I hope that I get to go back and be a part of the full weekend next time.
Yeah, quite a melee took place the day after, so.
I've
Did
heard
you
some
heard?
stories, man. I've heard some stories.
All right. Uh, any stories that you didn't mention from your time when you did go to WrestleCon, perhaps?
So here's the deal. So me, AK, and Big Time, we drove up together, right? So we
Right.
drive to North Carolina, and we get in the car. Like this is literally like like freaking, I don't know, maybe like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, right? We
Yeah.
meet, I meet Drew Hood and Zach Daniels for the first time, and how crazy it was meeting those guys because hey guys, let's meet each other. Now let's go and drive however many more hours up to I can't even say the name of the town
Pennsylvania.
now. What's the
Altoona.
the I can't even say the name of the town right now. I don't know why it's called Altoona, Pennsylvania. Yeah. So just riding in the car with those guys, laughing, getting stuck in traffic in DC. Man, what a fun time just meeting those guys for the first time and then laughing with them. It was very fun. Very fun time.
All right. Okay. Kind of went over some, but maybe there'd be a couple more that you can mention. Dream opponents that you have in backyard wrestling.
So I've already mentioned most of the VTW guys.
Yep.
I can't just pick some, right? So like maybe with the right story and the right build, Drew Hood is gonna be on that. I have my phone, so give me a second. Drew Hood is gonna be on that list, no doubt. Who else? Zach Daniels for sure. Dirty Chico for sure. Rick Rio. God, man, I can't. The list just goes on and on. There's so many people I've yet to get to interact with, and that's why it sucks that I haven't been a part of some of these crossovers. Like, I love my indie career. I absolutely love it. But, God, how I yearn to do more backyard wrestling, right? So, Dustin Reagan as well, man. I just feel like me and that guy could tear it up. Man, so many people. Like, most of the VTW, Chase Bridges, D-Lock. God, man, I love some of the new talent that they got coming up. And they've introduced here lately. Kevin Shaw, man, so many people. It's hard to name, man.
Kevin Shaw at that.
Yes. So let's see. Like, who would you like to see me wrestle? Who do you think, man? Who do you think I could tear it up with?
A lot of them. So just Dustin Reagan alone, that's big enough for me, to be honest.
Oh, really? You'd like to see? I think we could really have a fun match, man. He's intense, right? He's so intense.
And just the things he's done lately in VTW, different.
On another level.
Yes, definitely on another level. King Dominator asks how tall you are.
Me, currently right now, I'm about 5'8", about the same size as Daniel Bryant. So if I could put on some muscle like him, I'd be happy. But yeah, not the biggest guy, but always one that you want to watch.
Sure. All right. So I'm going to put you in one of my favorite topics here.
All right.
Put you inside an elimination chamber match. Tell me who are the other 5 backyard wrestlers that's going to be in that match with you.
Man, you put me in the rough. I'm going to take some people off now. So, man, should I do wrestlers that I've never wrestled before, or should I do guys that I just love wrestling? I don't know.
It's completely up to you. Whichever way you want to do it.
All right, well, I'm doing 2 elimination chambers then. Let's go. Okay. Guys that I've never wrestled before. I'm putting Dustin Reagan in it. I'm putting Zach Daniels in it. I'm putting Navon McDonald in it. How many people I got left? 2?
2.
I'm putting Drew Hood in it. And I'm going to put... Did I say Dirty Chico? Or did I not? I'll put Dirty Chico. I don't know. I feel like I should put Yankee in it as well, but I'll say Dirty Chico.
Okay.
And then in ones I've already wrestled, let's go Cameron Jackson.
Of course.
Let's go... I don't know if Rick Rios counts because we did have a tag team match together, but I'll put Rick in there. I'll say Big Time Mike.
Mm-hmm.
The Bad Reed and AK-47 to round it out. And guys, but like I said, man, it's so hard to pick because there's so many pieces of great talent out there that I want to wrestle with and mix it up with.
Thought that part was hard. Who's the last person you're eliminating to win each of those matches?
Oh, if I'm winning, I gotta go. I gotta go in the first one. I'm taking out Dirty Chico. Let's say he takes out Drew Hood, and then I take out him.
All right.
And then in the second one, Big Time Mike deserves to give me a win back. So I'm taking out Big Time Mike in the final one.
And then from that, always my follow-up question for it. that gets you a chance to be in the main event. I always put the best of the yard because that's WrestleMania for backyard wrestling. Who would you be facing? And say it's for a title. What title would it be?
Man, that's a very, very hard one because, like I said, it's an ever changing thing, right? Yeah, I constantly want to wrestle so many people.
Right.
I don't know, man. God, if I was in main eventing, best in the yard, it just really depends on the story. Let's go. Since it's a VTW show, let's go VTW guy and Zach Daniels.
Okay.
And that it's time to, no matter how rich or successful you are, there's always going to be that one person to put you in your place. And when it's time, Cage always comes out of the shadows to put you in your place. And let's go him for his VTW World Title. Well, it's not his anymore, right? Or is he still?
Right.
Yeah. So let's go for the VTW World Championship. I don't know if I'd win that match, but I'd sure put on a show.
As per usual. So Cameron Jackson says, Cage, you son of a bitch.
Of course.
16. We'll meet again someday.
Not someday. Someday soon. Someday very soon. Yeah. I'm just gonna bite my tongue. I'm gonna save it to be seen. I'll put it like that.
Yes, Cameron, I will see you next Friday. All right.
Oh, he's gonna be on here next Friday. Maybe I should make an appearance next Friday. I'll get this crap internet to work, and maybe I'll make an appearance next Friday.
As he puts it, says Tony, see you next Friday, my brother, for hashtag CJE All-Star Tiger Talks presented by GOT.
Presented by the name on the back of the shirt, I believe it is, as well.
Yes, I'm sure it would be.
Well, let's put it like this. I think you do a pretty good job hosting, maybe even better job than Cameron Jackson. I've been on his show, and I don't know, this is kind of, a couple tiers above it.
Well, thanks, I appreciate that. Cam also says, bring it, motherfucker.
I always do.
WFF Wrestling says, we are doing WWF Mania 5 in April. How long, if you were watching, would you like a show like that to be?
So here's the deal, man. It depends on how many viewers you have. So many people constantly wanted us to put on longer shows, but I didn't feel like that's right because when I'm on YouTube, I don't look to watch hour-long shows. I look to watch, like 15-minute to 20-minute videos, and then if you have a longer maybe pay-per-view, you put it a little longer. So I always like to split my matches up and maybe upload it all together afterwards, but when you originally upload them separately. Just, I don't know, like I don't feel like people get on YouTube to watch a pay-per-view, you know what I'm saying, like right. A WWE. So maybe that's just my opinion, but I know for viewers and for views, to get more views, it's better if it's shorter like that, because sometimes when I'm a little behind on BEW or Vindication, I'm skipping through things that maybe is not my favorite part of the show. And that sucks sometimes, but I don't have that time. And sometimes it's all about time management.
Cam says to your comments about me hosting compared to him hosting, take that back.
Never.
So perhaps we will see what WFF Wrestling says. Thanks for the advice.
No problem, man. I'm here to give a bunch. I really enjoyed this interview so far, man. It's really fun.
Oh, thanks. All right. Anything else you want to talk about from backyard-wise that you've been a part of recently or within the last couple of years?
Let me think. Like I said, man, I've been very blessed and very happy to be a part of these crossovers, man. Just to meet these guys and to talk to them and just have fun with them, man. When you get around a group that just loves not only watching wrestling, but just backyard wrestling, and then putting those egos and those characters together to see some of the funny promos and crazy things, it's just, God, I love it. Support backyard wrestling. If you're a fan of me, just watch everything else. And, if you're a fan of Fuego del Sol, check out some of my stuff there, as well. But man, I just want to talk about any other things. I feel like we've covered a good bit. Like I said, I'm very fond of my matches with Pac-Man, so he's always fun. When I think of like KBW's Big Six, I don't know. I feel like later on, like the big three is me, big time, AK. But
Right.
like when you think of like stars that were made, I feel like you have to throw Bulldozer and D-Man and maybe Pac-Man and maybe Paul Wall in there as well. So it's a hard thing to do. Like I love CJ to death, and it was great. That Renegade storyline was awesome. What when did you start watching KBW? Let me ask you this.
Well, I came in late because I just started watching almost 2 years ago now.
Okay, what
So
was your first video you watched?
oh, um, I started once I found KBW. I watched from the very beginning.
Yeah, but what caught your eye? What was the thumbnail, or what was the title that got you? Like, was it a Royal Rumble? Was it a Money in the Bank? Was it?
To be honest, what I did was I just happened to look up wrestling on YouTube, and KBW was the first thing that popped up, and I clicked on it and just started watching it.
So I'm very
But I
proud
will.
of the whole Renegade storyline, even though it fell apart very early on. So like I feel like that's where KBW really took off from then on after. We had the original 4 Renegades, which I don't know if anybody can even remember their names, but besides CJ hit AK-47 in the face with the chair and then started the Renegades, which had Double T, TW, and what was his name? God, I can't even think of right now. The guy in the red cap that was AK's apprentice at one point, and then he turned on him as well. But there was those 4.
Right.
They never showed up for another taping again after that. So we added the Beast to it to team with TW, and then we later on added Mick the Brick and T-Rex.
Yeah.
And Mick the Brick, T-Rex, and CJ carried it all the way until All or Nothing. And then we did the AK turn, and I'm so proud of that AK turn and how it came across and what it did for the longevity of the feud that me and AK was.
Right.
I'm just so proud about that. Did you enjoy it? Did you see it coming, that the shock and all of that match? Did you watch that?
I
Did you
enjoyed it, but
know
no,
that
I
what was
didn't.
happening before then? Did you watch them in order?
I watched it in order, so no, I did not see it coming before it happened. I think one of the first things that you guys was new posted after I started watching was actually when you and AK mentioned WrestleCon and build up to WrestleCon. So.
Oh wow, cool. So yeah, KBW is almost completely done then by the time you checked it out. So if you did watch some from the beginning, that's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. You got to see the whole evolution of how it happened.
Yes, indeed. I better mention this before he has a fit. Cam said one thing, then I got to bounce. Cage, I can honestly say I do respect you. Now I can bring it to the light that I do not and have never had any beef with your family. One question. When are you going to realize there are 3 people better than you in the world? The answer is Brother Cam, Cameron Jackson, and that black guy from the CJE.
I've learned this over time with my ego. The best in the world is an opinion-based thing, and I hope that every time I step in the ring, I consider myself the best, and he better respect me after the ass whooping I put on him at Best in the Yard 30. And I know he doesn't have beef with my family, because if he did, I'd whoop his ass again. So as far as that goes, that's all I'm gonna say about Cam. I could argue with that guy all day long.
I'm sure you could. He closed with, once you realize that, you might, capital might, be invited to the after party at the Marriott 60.
I'm not a big fan of the Marriott chain of hotels, so I'm a little bit more Hilton, higher class than that. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. All right. So, that being said, we'll see if he says anything else. King Dominator asks, do you miss Angry Grandpa who just passed away the last couple days?
Man, I was a giant Angry Grandpa fan. I felt so bad. And plus, they were giant wrestling fans, and it just really hit home to me. I really felt bad about everything that happened with that. Man, so sad. Really sad. Really sad. I hate that he passed away, and he will be remembered. And that's the great thing about YouTube, right? Like, these videos will be remembered for all of time. So I'm very happy about that. I'm proud of that.
All right. So I want to move in. Covered your whole backyard career pretty much. move into the indie career that we see most of from you on KBW's channel now. Let's touch on your videos that you post anyways. I would assume he got your idea for the podcast, or not necessarily podcast, but I'll say podcast, from Once Game of the
Actually,
Or the film.
I won't say I got it from him. I knew that Kevin Owens used to do Kevin Steen's escapades, right?
Yep.
And I really thought they were cool, right? And then I saw that Sammy. It's so funny. It's such a small world. Sammy Guevara actually messaged me about putting a video on my channel the same time I was trying to get indie bookings in Texas. And like I was like, what a small world. This works out perfectly. And I was like, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. We exchanged contacts. We became really good friends. And eventually I did want to start doing vlogs because I saw what he was doing. I didn't want to be the exact same as his, but I did like it and I enjoyed it and I wanted to try to create something different. So with his blessing, I did get a chance to start my own, and I really enjoy doing them. I think I'm gonna move to my own channel though. I think I'm gonna start my own Fuego del Sol channel just because I feel like I'm using the KBW audience. You know, they're not all fully there. They want to see KBW stuff. So I think I'm gonna maybe remove a bunch of them and upload them to a different channel. Maybe just to see. I don't know. I just feel like Fuego did not earn those 140,000 subscribers.
Right.
KBW did. Even though I did a lot to help KBW get those, that's for KBW fans. And so I'm going to eventually move it to my own channel and take down a bunch of the stuff from the KBW channel. And I'm going to try to upload more like highlights and the history of the Renegades. I really want to put up together a video of like the history of the Renegades or all kind of different things like that. And I hope that way KBW's memory can live on a little bit more while we're waiting between the sporadic matches, maybe. That would be cool.
So I got to mention it because Cam had another comeback for you.
Oh, of course. The last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm getting off. And, of course, he says something else. Mr. Gotta have the last word.
He says, Hilton suck cock. I ought to smack the fire out of you, you high yellow bastard. Anyways, good night, and know that I'll be there to kick that ass in the morning.
I want to just point out that I watched your interview with Cam last week, and I was very, very reluctant to say anything in the comments because I have respect, unlike a man named Cameron Jackson. So I'll leave it at that.
Fair point. I will say you did stay pretty quiet for the most part, other than a couple times he went off screen. So that's all right. Where was I gonna go with it?
Do you like the Life and Times of Fuego del Sol?
I do enjoy them. I can say I think I've missed the last 1 or 2 episodes of it. Don't think I've caught up to it yet, but I do enjoy them. I
appreciate that. Like I said, it's hard. It's hard. Like people want to see KBW on the KBW channel. So if people want to follow me to my other channel, great. If not, I understand.
And he comes back again with you fucker. Alright. But yeah, I enjoy it because it's just something to have on the channel, and me, as a fan, I like seeing whatever you can get. So
I wouldn't be where I am today without KBW, so I at least try to keep the fans, let them know. Like a lot of people don't know how big of a role I played behind the scenes with KBW, right? So I produced all the matches. I edited them all. I helped commentate. I helped, and like, so it's my baby in a way, and that channel's my baby. And so many people's like, why don't you pass the channel down to other people? And it's just they wouldn't put the care and effort and time into it that I would. Like, thank God I have AK-47 because he did put up some matches, but you know, it's hard to do, and that's why I feel so bad because the fans don't know that because I don't want to pull the curtain back too much, but you know, it's one of those things.
So what was your opinion of the few matches that AK did post that he was a part of the open challenge?
Well, I was completely unaware that he was going to start doing that. So the first one with a bulldozer had no commentary, caught me completely by surprise, but I really enjoyed it. I was, like I said, if I had help down there and they were still doing it, I'd absolutely have them upload every week. It's just some people don't have the desire to do that. AK is one of the people that does. So I'm glad that he did that. His match with the bulldozer was great. His match with Hazard was hilarious. And then his match with Bam McKee, the most recent one, was great as well. I hope he posts more in the future.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see.
Any taste of KBW is a good taste, right? Like any glimpse back into the past is just awesome.
Are there any what's what I'm looking for? Any other videos that possibly we could be seeing from your indie career going up at some point?
I don't know. Do people like watching my indie matches? Because I do post highlights on the Life and Times, but I feel like I don't know how they feel. People feel about me posting my full matches. Will they get what? I posted a couple, and I have a few other ones like I just recently had a match with Evan Bourne, Matt Seidel. Right? I would love to post it up and see what people think about it, but I don't know how people feel. How do you feel? Do you think it would be good to watch some of those matches with bigger names?
With the bigger names, definitely. I think it's great to watch. I mean, I'll bring him up again. Sammy Guevara posts some of the bigger names that he faces, and I enjoy watching
He
those.
faces a lot more bigger names than I do, but I do. Like just recently, I got to have the TNA One Night Only show, so I got to wrestle Zima, Ion, DJ Z, and Trevor Lee. I got to have a triple threat match with Stevie Richards that I never thought I'd wrestle him. I got to wrestle Evan Bourne just recently. There's a couple matches that I had with ACH and then AR Fox that I cannot upload because the company won't let me. It just depends on which companies will actually let me upload or not, you know?
Right. So Cam said, seriously though, I'm coming in the morning to knock you the fuck out.
If anybody knows Cameron Jackson, there's a lot more talk than there is walk. So we'll see about that. Man, he just doesn't stop, does he? He's like a fly. I said this in my promo. He's like just won't go away, you know?
Because as I was repeating that, he posted another comment. And super serious, I turned some of those KBW loyalists against you, and you still stood and wrestled me for them too. So I'll give that respect, and I'll knock out. Peace and 60.
I think I wrestle for. I don't mean to sound selfish, but I wrestle for me, and if someone enjoys it because I'm wrestling for me, that's what it's all about, right? So I wrestle to make myself happy, and I hope that me wrestling for me makes other people happy. To put it like that. So I think they enjoyed the match no matter who they was rooting for. It was pretty damn good.
It was. I want to ask you a couple things about the one part's going to be about the build up to it, and then another part to the actual match with Cam, partially. What was your opinion of the sit down interview that you two did with Kevin Shaw?
Oh man, like I said, I know that you asked me a question, but I always like to gauge what other people thought. So what did you think of the sit down interview?
I thought it was quite interesting, and I will say that Cam, at point, owned you, to put it one way. He had you cracked up at points too. So,
of course, and then a part of that was just me thinking, laughing as in sorts is like, this guy's a joke, right? Like, there's only so many times you can say I'm gonna whoop your ass in funny ways until it's just not funny anymore, and I find that amusing. That, oh man, come up with something new, right? Like, how many times can you talk about my daughter, right? How many times can you talk about my daughter? That's probably why you're hearing a little bit of crying in the background because she's calling around now. It's not it's just one of those things, right? I could cuss and come back and talk with the best of them. I feel like I can hold my own in the promo with no matter anybody you put me with. But I can hold my own with anybody on the mic. But not everybody can hold their own in the ring with me. And that's one of the things I pride myself on. So yes, I really enjoyed that interview. I thought Kevin was the perfect man to unbiasedly host that. And I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good build up and a good way to gauge interest and see get more eyes on the product, on the match. And
yes, I'd have to.
I was happy with it.
It's definitely something that we don't see, so it was something different.
I will agree that he's probably one of the best talkers in backyard wrestling, if not like when I think of best talkers, and I think of big personalities, it's him and Big Time Mike, right? Like who can compete. Right. But it doesn't mean I won't try, because I'll try always. Yeah.
And then Kim made it sound like that you'd be in hostile territory going into Best of the Yard 3.
Which I was. I feel like I was in hostile territory. I'd come out to booze, but that's just because, like I said some mean things about the whole roster, about VTW, about Best in the R2, because I was upset. So I expected no less coming into the hostile territory. But on YouTube, that's my territory, and that's where the hostile fans were towards him and other people. So I was He might have the, like I said, he was wrestling for the backyard wrestlers, and I was wrestling for the fans.
Right. I would say, in my opinion, I thought you turned some of those haters, I guess you could say, in the crowd to not being haters by the end of the match as well. So
I mean, how can you hate an awesome performance, right? Like, it's just like when AJ Styles turned heel. It's very hard to boo a guy that can just wrestle his ass off, and I feel like no matter what, I can wrestle my ass off.
Yep. Okay. So, all right. Any advice that you would have to give any young guys that are starting out in backyard wrestling or thinking of starting out in backyard wrestling?
Don't stop, and you got to be tough. Like, man, I took some crazier bumps when I was younger, trying to get noticed, and a lot of people are scared. Like, you got to be able to put your body on the line. That's one of the reasons KBW was so successful, because it was my backyard, and so I was liable for a lot of my friends and stuff that came over. So I was one of the reasons that I was the only one doing crazier stuff. And you got to be tough. You got to be able to talk. So constantly practice in the mirror, in your car, wherever you can, to get better on promos. And watch pro wrestling and try to figure out how the little things, like instead of picking someone up by their arm, pick them up by their head. Instead of, like, there's little things that people don't understand like that to take you up from here to here. There's a certain side a headlock is supposed to be done on. There's a certain way you're supposed to apply this. And like my older brother was a indie wrestler for a hot minute, and he taught me a lot of that stuff. And I feel like I was able to pass some of that down to make us look maybe just a tad more professional than some backyard wrestling places. So I just try to stand out like that. Come up with a different character. Be able to talk your butt off. Be tough.
Yeah. You mentioned how AK doesn't like when people go by the different, like he always says he is. There's actually a kid on Twitter that's kind of trying to steal AK's gimmick. I was like, dude, find your own gimmick.
Yeah, I saw that. He argued with Cam forever, and I thought Cam was a retard for arguing with nobodies, man. Sometimes you got to know your worth. You don't argue with nobodies, especially imitators.
True. King Dominator says, would you ever have a one-on-one match against me in the future?
If someone proves themselves, like I will never say no, but you got to prove yourself. Like I said, he told me he shoot me a message. I'll check some of his stuff out, and if I enjoy it, ask the Bad Reed, ask Corey Graves, ask Cameron Jackson. I'm not a shy guy. I'll give credit where credit's due, and I'll if I think there's a want and desire for it to happen, I'll make it happen.
All right. Oh, interesting. Wonder if he's tuned in. Anyway, do you watch or have you watched UWE at all?
Absolutely. Like I said, it doesn't. Lockdowns are very few and far between now, but
Right.
I did get to see, because one of my very good friends, Hazard, went up and did a crossover crisis as well. So I did watch a little bit of it. Like, I didn't watch it every week, but I did watch the bigger shows and things of that nature.
There, you kind of named a couple people, I guess, from that company that you pretty much would say were standouts. Anybody else that you didn't mention that you would say are standouts from their show?
Let me think. I really enjoyed oh my God, why is his name escaping? Give me a second. AK wrestled him, the Vindication, before the VTW Rumble last year. SWAT vest. I know his name.
Yep,
and
Nick
it's escaped.
Nick
Somas, yes, Somas. He was super athletic. I loved him. Of course, Rick Rios and TJ Sakara. I love their tag team because there wasn't many. And then Everett Creed, of course, as well, just because he was the mastermind behind it all. So that was some of their main guys. So I got to say those guys, of course.
Yeah. And I will mention for TOP, they did get the win in that Fatal 4-Way match and are an undefeated tag team as well in backyard wrestling. So.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy about that either.
Actually, hey, neither one of you took the fall on that, so.
But we did get put through a table. I don't know how good the quality you saw that. Yeah, AK got powerbombed on top of me, so that was crazy. But yeah, big fans of those guys. Big fans of Somas, and as well as Dirty DeChico. I'm a giant Dirty DeChico guy because that guy can brawl his ass off wrestle his ass off, and he can cut a damn mean promo. Plus, he's just a giant that's intimidating as hell.
All right. Oh, that's interesting. It's another indie guy that you might be familiar with, I'm sure. Chandler the Truth Hopkins.
Yes, I trained with him a good bit, and
He is the one that took your title off of you recently too. So
yes. Me and him have wrestled many times, and I've been fortunate enough to get the victory many times. But in this match with Evan Bourne, it was a triple threat match. Matt Sydal, and he pinned Matt Sydal. So there's still some unfinished business. I've never got a one-on-one rematch with him. I have gotten rematches, but they've been in 4-ways and triple threats and those natures. So that won't be the last time me and him mix it up. And he's the guy to look out for in the future. He's really freaking good. He just got to have a dark match with a Future of Honor match in Ring of Honor. So check that out soon when you get a chance.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I would say you and Sammy Guevara have kind of had a little bit of parallel careers so far. I mean, you both have gotten a chance at Impact Wrestling. His might have been
a little bit bigger opportunity. He's 2 years older than me, so I always say I'm just 2 years behind him.
There you go.
I'll pop off in a year and a half as well.
If they're still around. Oh.
I just mean on TV in general. Like that guy's everywhere right now. He's getting booked on all the big companies. He helped me get booked in Mexico for the first time earlier this year, which was awesome. Very big fan of him, and we have some really good matches as well. If people have checked him out on YouTube.
That's true. I've seen a couple of those. Those are good. All right. So, what do you think is something that we will see? People can look forward to seeing in the near future on the KBW channel, perhaps.
Well, as we were recording this, Big Time Mike just texted me, so I'm sure he was watching. He wants to get together and finish this season that we started. So very soon, we'll maybe get a full season. Like I said, we had a weird, crazy Royal Rumble 3, where a lot of crazy things went down, a lot of surprise returns, a lot of weird stuff. And, of course, those always get a ton of views. So that would be fun just for everyone to keep an eye on that because it was recorded. So if we could finish this season and put it up, man, I would love for that to get uploaded. But no matter what, like I promise you, I take pride in, and I have a set of standards that we have to meet for me to put up a KBW video. So just be on the lookout for maybe some of those and some future stuff.
Right. And I'm sure for viewers that are Fuego del Sol fans, they can look forward to more life and times of Fuego del Sol as well.
Exactly. Like I said, I'll have a channel soon up with that, but for the time being, they will still be uploaded on the KBW channel. So if you guys enjoy them, I appreciate the views.
Yes.
And the support.
Kind of went over a little bit, but what does the future look like for KAGE in backyard wrestling?
So I've had a couple offers from a couple companies to come up and do some different things. The door is always open up in New York for BEW. And so you never know. You never know when I can show up in Newburgh. And then as well, like I said, VTW, I got too many friends and too many guys I want to wrestle, too many future enemies, I should say, that I got to show up there. So I don't want to ever spoil any surprises because, man, it's always a surprise. But I hope everyone just marks out if I popped up on a random episode of BEW or a random Vindication or pay-per-view or making my presence known for a giant show maybe in the summer sometime. So you never know.
Right. Going back to BEW for a minute, though, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but if you had the opportunity to get to King of the Yard next year, if there is a King of the Yard too, and you could choose any person to face in the first round from another company, could you pick one person?
Let's go Johnny Reed from BEW. Let's wrestle him first round. Maybe Nick Somas, if he's there, that would be fun. And then Rick Rios, just because I haven't got a chance to mix it up. So one of those three. And then I'll see Navon in the next round.
Very nice. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to hear that one. So, all right. That would be definitely interesting to see. Maybe perhaps KM won the first one. Maybe Cage wins the second one.
Maybe, like I said, if I was there, he would have never won the first one to begin with, right? Like, maybe I wouldn't have won it, but I would have made damn sure Cameron Jackson didn't win it. Put it like that.
Gotcha. All right. So, any last things you want to say about backyard wrestling career or your indie career as of right?
Just keep supporting me, guys. I really appreciate it. Support backyard wrestling. Support independent wrestling. Find shows near you because there is an independent show near you somewhere. Find it, go to it, support it. Tell the local promoter you want to see Fuego del Sol come to the show, and then keep watching backyard wrestling because you never know where KBW or Cage will make their presence known.
And then we don't really have anybody in the chat room talking right now, but I'm going to ask just a couple more things here real quick. Who would you like to see me get on this show that hasn't been on yet? If you could pick somebody.
Let's.
One person you'd say.
I don't know. I have to go back and make sure. I don't want to say a name that has been on here yet because I've been trying to keep up, but I don't know. Has Navon been on here yet?
He was on here. It was before I went live, but.
Okay, I got you. That's what it was. So let's go. AK-47 for number one because I would love to see him on here. Let's go Chase Bridges. Right. I'd like to see him on here as well.
That's one guy I actually have talked to in the past about coming on and just haven't gotten him on here yet.
Awesome.
There's another guy that you mentioned that you'd like to face earlier that I've talked to about getting on here as well that I think would be a great show as well. That being Zach Daniels.
Oh, I'd love to see Zach Daniels on here as well, man. Love to see him, especially how he came about with this most successful man, how he entered into that phase. I would like to see him talk about that a little bit.
We'll see if he would do that. He'd told me when I asked him to come on here, he'd probably be in character for most of the show. So
that sounds awesome.
So we'll see. All right. So with that being said, let's see if there's anything else that I missed over. No, I think that's about it. And, so yeah, any last words before we head out for the night?
I just want to say happy birthday once again. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for caring about backyard wrestling and doing things like this. Thank you for the support for KBW, and thank all the people watching for checking this out. I hope I was interesting enough guy, and I hope that with all my technical difficulties and all that y'all still had an entertaining show. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on. I definitely enjoyed it. Even with the technical difficulties, we worked through it. So
absolutely, the show must go on.
Yes, it must. All right. And for that, I will mention again, next week at some point, this is breaking news because I haven't mentioned it to anybody yet. I will be having Yankee the Difference Maker back on here. He wants to do another live show instead of pre-taped. He wants a Q&A show pretty much where he asks the questions. So
I have to make sure I'm on for that to send him some messages because he was so nice to ask a bunch of questions about himself. I ask a bunch of questions about myself as well.
There you next week. And I'm going to be posting that on Twitter to see if I can get some people to actually get involved and ask questions for him as well.
Awesome. And then maybe next Friday, you might have something going on as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I mentioned it a couple times. I'll mention it once again. Next Friday night, either 7 or 7:30 p.m. I haven't figured out what time yet. On the 22nd, we will be going live again with an all-star show. We will have just about everybody that I've had on Tiger Talks Wrestling coming in whenever they can, and they can join for however long they want to as we discuss big events and matches and other things about the backyard wrestling year in review, pretty much.
Except for Cameron Jackson, because I'm gonna hack the YouTube and make sure that he gets kicked off. And if I can't do that, then I'll just come on here and just rip him to shreds in the promo and make sure that he knows that if I had one more second, I would have beat him at Best in the R3.
Fair enough. All right. And that's pretty much all the news I got for right now. Guys, just stay tuned to my Twitter page, pretty much where you'll see where everything is updated.
Go hit that follow button.
Yes, do that too. And subscribe me here on YouTube if you don't already as well. Make sure you also go and follow KAGE on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at
You
KBW.
can see all that. I plug my stuff everywhere, anyways.
Yep.
You
If
can
anyone
find
does.
all that.
And I'll have it also in the link below. So
Thank you so
one
much.
part of it. Yep. So with that being said, I thank you again for coming on here. Appreciated you contacting me to come on. And
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. For me, I'm out for the night. You want to take us out?
Yes. Thank you for spending a little bit of your time checking out a little bit of Tiger Talks Wrestling. We'll see you later.
Night, guys.